Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the Velvet Sugar Podcast. I am your host, co-host, David Beckles Jr. This is Alex Kolar, because he would not pronounce his name properly at all. So we can go with Kolar.
It's not important. Don't worry about my name.
Alex Kolar.
And the focus is on our guest.
On our guest, the smartly dressed. Look at him, Tom. He's got a sweater on and collars and all that. Man, our very good friend and fellow comedian, Cooper Rego in the building. Welcome, Coop.
Yay!
Welcome to the Velvet Sugar Podcast.
Thank you.
Oh,
Glad
man.
to be here. Glad you guys dressed for the occasion.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're hiding what's going on beneath this.
Yeah. Cooper really dressed. He put a tie on, man.
Yeah, but I have shorts on underneath.
Yeah, you look smart with your tie, yeah? He's got your tie, it's matching, it's blue. He's got your haircut. You're all right, ready, yeah?
Yeah, trying to be semi-professional.
Yeah. So, man, let's start it. Where we gonna begin? Let's begin. No, listen. I met Coop about what? I want to say 2008, if I'm correct. 8, 9. Mm-hmm. Anonymous Comics with shout out Rose Pierre and Curtis Parks. That's where I met you doing comedy back then.
You know what's funny is I just picked up a
flyer for Anonymous Comics.
Yep, I just picked it up today.
Wow.
And threw it in the trash. No, I picked it up. It's been sitting on my floor next to my desk for like, I don't know, months and months and months and months.
Wow.
I just picked it up today.
So it was what? It was an open mic? Anonymous Comics?
They produce shows. Yeah, they produce shows. They had open mics. They had shows.
Like
what year are we talking here? Let's go
This is 2008, 9, until Rhodes disappeared.
No, well, he didn't disappear.
Like 2010, I think.
He needed to move back to
Yeah.
take care of his folks, and I think his mom had passed. She had gotten sick.
Went back where?
Boston.
Massachusetts.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you, okay.
Boston.
Yeah. I saw him. I went up to Boston.
I did too.
Last year.
I did too.
Yeah.
I did around August.
Yeah. Okay, so I went up there like around wintertime last year.
I did a couple of mics with him.
Yeah.
On that, so.
Yeah, you did too?
Yeah. You did?
Yeah.
Okay. We actually have a show coming up in Boston.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, February 20th, right?
Yeah.
February 23rd.
20th.
23rd, no?
No,
Is
20th.
it 20th?
20th.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going up to Boston.
Boston.
That's a Saturday, 23rd.
No,
or Sunday.
whatever it is, a Thursday.
Yeah. It's the
We're doing it on
20th.
Thursday,
Okay.
It's
February.
20th,
I think.
And then we're driving home the next day, but that's
Yeah.
going to be a fun show.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I just commented on Rhodes' post today.
Yeah.
I was like, probably bombing. Then the next close out was like, bombs away!
and then I probably went roughly 10 years without seeing you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Until I saw you at a Rhino Comedy Club.
Yeah, probably 15 years.
Well,
Yeah, it was probably 15 years
Closer
because
to
I saw you
15.
right, because that was New Rhino.
Okay.
That was New Rhino.
Yeah.
That opened up like in 2023, I think.
Oh, okay. Did it? Because you went to Rhino Club.
The new one. Well, after I forgot. Right after COVID, did they do it at the old place, or they went right to the new place after COVID? No, a little bit after COVID, right? First they had it at the old place, and then the new place.
The old place was after COVID.
Yeah.
I started going there in 22.
Okay.
And then they shut down that summer of 22. Then they opened up probably at the end of 22,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Because this was all new to me. I moved up here in 2012.
I used to go to Rhino before COVID shut down.
Yeah, I did.
But it was, like I was doing comedy for like a year and a half, then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then, so they were around already a little bit a while, but the old place was a little bigger, but the new place is nice. It's like a real club.
Yeah.
But you've seen it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it.
I'm a
Give the
regular.
audience
I'm a
an
regular
idea.
there.
Yeah.
I won the competition there this month, actually. Beginning of this
All right.
this year. I won the January
Congrats,
competition.
very
Congratulations.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I almost won last month, December.
Who beat you?
That piece of crap Al Felony.
Shout out Al Felony.
I don't know how he beat me. I don't know how he won. I seriously don't know. I brought the whole audience. I'm like, yeah, I got this one. And they say, you win an Al Felony. I was like, what? How the hell did he win?
Hold on, you brought a crowd on Felony too?
Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
That's ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
So I was almost 2 in a row.
Okay.
But yeah. So
You're headlining a show coming up.
Yeah,
At
at
Rhino.
Rhino. This comes out already. It's February 14th, Saturday.
Yeah.
This should probably
Valentine's
be out
Day. Is that
already.
Valentine's Day?
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this,
Yeah.
come on out.
Come
to
get
the
some
show,
tickets.
February
Check out
14th,
Big Alex
Saturday.
Comedy Live, Rhino Comedy
Yeah.
Club. Yeah. So where do we begin? Where do we begin? You want to start with your college football career?
Oof.
Yeah, you want to start? Yeah, college football. Who did you? What position did you play? And what college did you play for?
I played running back,
Uh-huh.
and I started off at Notre Dame,
Uh-huh.
and then I transferred to West Virginia.
West Virginia, that's big.
And I played from 1997 till 2001.
Okay.
Right, so it was 5 years. I played against some incredible athletes during those years.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing: is like I was coming out of high school. I was the New Jersey Player of the Year, right?
Yeah.
Gatorade Player of the Year. I was second team USA All American. I came in second place in the 100-meter dash in the States, right? So I was pretty fast
Yeah.
until I saw Michael Vick. Until we played Michael Vick, then I was like, I'm not fast at all. This dude is clearly faster than everybody. Than anybody I've ever seen.
You saw him in track or in football?
No, in football. Like,
But he didn't do track, right?
No.
You played West Virginia, he played Virginia.
Virginia Tech. Yep.
Oh, so you guys played each other?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So his redshirt freshman year, 1999.
Right.
You played him?
Oh yeah.
What position were you when you played?
No, I was a running back. So I was
Okay.
Offense.
He was a quarterback. And,
Played opposite teams, though, right? Okay.
Yeah. So he was out there just running around, and like no one knew who he was at the time, right? He just broke out onto the scene, but he was like incredible. Like he threw the ball on a rope, on a laser. He was pinpoint accurate, and he could run like a 4.040.
So he was crazy fast.
He was ridiculous. Like I remember distinctly. I remember him running an option play to the left. He was coming towards the sideline. He stopped, spun around, and then that way. And like the whole crowd was like, oh, it was so fast. I was like, wow. And I had never seen anyone move like that before.
Jeez.
Yeah. And back then, Miami Hurricanes were national champions.
Okay.
In 2001, Miami Hurricanes is arguably the best college football team
Was
ever.
that Warren Sapp?
No. I'm way younger than Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp was mid-90s.
Okay.
Right. So this 2001 Miami Hurricane team had 11 Hall of Famers. Sean Taylor, Ed Reed, Jonathan Vilma, Vince Wilfork, 3 running backs, Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee. Frank Gore was the third team tailback.
Okay.
Wow.
Frank Gore, listen.
Wow.
Frank Gore,
he played
his
for San Francisco,
freshman year, he carried the ball against us 6 times, had 150 yards and 2 long touchdowns.
Jeez.
I mean, those guys. I had never seen that kind of athleticism like in high school. But when I got
what percentage of their team went pro? Probably
all of them. They had
all those names that he called.
They had like some 30 first-round draft picks. No, it was something crazy.
The
like
whole
that.
team did that year.
Yes,
Crazy.
They were national champions.
You're like really playing
that was an NFL team.
NFL team,
Yeah.
right?
You really?
Yeah.
Really? Because all
But
of
that's
those
like what
names-
Alabama is too.
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah. So I was one of 2 running backs to run for over 100 yards against that Miami team that year in the year 2000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
So did you have like hopes of dreams of going pro?
Nah, pro. Fuck that. Hell yeah, I wanted to go pro. Except I put on a clinic on how to drop a football in front of 2 NFL scouts. It was like it was perfect how to drop a ball. It like hit you right in the hands and then right to the ground.
Oh man!
And it was consistent.
But
It was consistently dropping the ball.
So if you could
That's what I'm saying. Just hand me the ball, man. Why we gotta get fancy? Why we gotta do all this crazy? Just hand me the ball. I'm good. We'll be good. Just hand it to me.
So if you let's say for example your skills, you could have caught the ball better. You think?
No. If they hand me the ball,
hand the ball.
I'm good. Like a running back, that's fine. But at that time, football was changing. They started
Catching
spreading
out
out
the
the
backfield.
offense
Oh, okay.
and running out the shotgun and all this
Right.
weird stuff. And I was like,
Okay,
what's going
you
on
were
here?
in that time frame?
I'm a classic I tailback. Like
Right.
I was great in the 90s.
All right.
Right, but then 2000s started shifting the offenses. I'm like, whoa.
So you got caught in that kind of area where
Yeah.
it's changing, but
Yeah,
you didn't catch up.
I
with it,
didn't
really.
catch
Yeah.
anything. I didn't catch the ball or up with the offense.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Dang. Okay.
So that was an interesting experience, and that's what led me to comedy.
Okay.
Is that my football career was so terrible that I was like, what's the next easiest thing?
Damn.
That was our next question. How'd you get
All
from,
other sports,
How'd
no.
you get
Comedy.
from you went from Notre Dame to West Virginia competing against a bunch of pros, pros,
Yeah.
to comedy, to
Yeah.
stand-up comedy?
So 3 things.
Let us know when did you start?
3 things happened. when I went into college, first of all, when I was in, let me go back. My father worked at ABC.
Oh wow!
Right? Because remember when we walked into the control room, I said, "This feels like my house."
Yeah.
Right? So like we had a control room in our house.
Oh,
like,
back-to-back ABC guests. Yeah.
growing
Okay.
up. Right?
Jesus, yeah.
Right.
So I always had this kind of equipment around. So I used to edit together my own tapes, right?
Okay.
But when my father first brought home a video camera, I started making movies, right? So like the first movie I made was Dick Tracy, right? And I was Dick Tracy, right? And I lived in the Bronx.
How long did it go? The full?
No, it was like
It was like a short film.
Yeah,
You did a
it was
little
me,
short
it's me and my sister.
Oh, right.
And
Okay,
I was
okay,
Dick
okay.
Tracy, right?
Okay.
So, and I used to do stop animation too. I used to take little GI Joes and
wow. Okay.
pause and like stop animation with those guys. Back, this is I was like
wow, that's a
10 years
skill.
old, right? So from that point on, the first time I got my hands on a camera, I would always make sketches with my friends and my brothers and sisters for years, right? So around like 1999, I'm in college now, right? And The Matrix came out, and I was like, all right, guys, we're gonna make a serious film. All right, this is gonna be serious. It's gonna be like The Matrix, right? But every time I try to make something serious, it would make a left turn into something funny, right? And I get mad. I'd be mad. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to be serious, man. How come every time I try to be serious, it just doesn't go that way?
Right.
And then sometimes in class, I'd ask a question and people start laughing. And I'd also get mad. I'm like, yo, what the fuck y'all laughing at, man? I'm serious. Why is, I'd ask a question and people laugh.
Why is the orange orange?
Right, something like that. Right? But I wasn't joking around. I was really serious. So I was like, okay, so
Why
like,
can't it
okay,
be Apple?
so I can't be serious,
Right.
That's what I figured. All right, that's one thing. Okay, that's a sign.
Right.
A sign that I try to make serious movies and they end up being funny. I ask questions, people laugh, and then I ran track in college too, right? So we traveled from West Virginia to Boston on a bus. That's about a 10-hour bus ride, right? So back then, this is the year 2000. This is 2001. Dave Chappelle's "Killing 'Em Softly" came out on HBO, right? So my teammates were listening to it on CD, right? And they were back there cracking up, right? So on the way back, I was like, let me get that CD, right? Everyone's in the back sleeping, and I'm listening to it on CD, and I'm like, I'm dying. My stomach's hurting from laughing so hard. And I remember Dave Chappelle from Def Comedy Jam.
Right.
Now my dad also was a technical director on Def Comedy Jam, right? So he was a TD on Showtime at the Apollo and Def Comedy Jam. Okay. So if you ever see Def Comedy Jam, the credits, my dad's name, he went by alias name, so ABC didn't know because he's moonlighting on ABC. So his name's in the credits for Def Comedy Jam, right? So I remember Dave from back then, right? So
you ever met him?
yeah, I'll get to that. Okay. So I'm listening to the special on headphones, and I'm laughing so hard. And then there was one little part that I felt like I could get a better laugh than that. Now, I wasn't even thinking about comedy, but I was like, I just know I can get a better laugh at that part right there.
Yeah.
Right? So that stuck with me. Right? So I was making funny movies. I felt like I could be funny in that one part. And that was it. I think that was it. I said there was three
So
things.
you first started really movies.
So I wanted to be an actor.
Okay.
Right? So
Alex as well.
We started the same route, and then I switched over to comedy.
yeah. So when I went to West Virginia, I was a theater major. At first, right? For the first 2 years, I was a theater major.
Did the Shakespeare?
But then I didn't do that. But like they wanted me to come in and do costuming on Saturdays. I'm like, we're playing Miami. I can't do costuming. I'm actually starting this game, so this ain't gonna work, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't need to be. I was thinking, I don't need to be a theater major
Theater.
to be an actor. I'm from New York. Like I'm from here. I'll just go back home and just go back.
It's just New York. Yeah.
So fast forward. The first time I go to my first comedy show, I'm walking I'm on break in between. It's a summer break between it was my last year of college, right? College football. I'm home in New York. I'm walking down the street in the West Village, and I pass the Comedy Cellar.
Right.
And then I say, "Oh, let's go down and check this out with my girlfriend and with some friends." And walking down the steps, I'm like, "I want to try this." As I'm walking down the steps, I would like to try this. Right? I get down in there, and I hear the comedian over the speaker. And then we get around, and I see that brick wall, and I hear the comedian. And I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like it's all intimate. I was like, I just felt like, "Oh yeah, this is it. This is dope, right?" And Godfrey was hosting.
Oh shit. Yeah.
So we sit down, we watch the show. I remember Greer Barnes doing his fish joke where he turns around and he goes, fish joint, right? Then we leave early, and Godfrey makes fun of us as we leave. And then I see him outside. And, we say, what's up, whatever. And then football season starts, right? So then football season starts. We play Boston College first game of the year. I hurt my neck putting my helmet on. I put my helmet on, and I felt something like go. I was like, "Oh shit! Oh man!" Right? So then I hurt my neck. I was like, "I can't play."
You had like a 50-year-old moment,
right?
Trapped in like 20-year-old body.
William Green, the running back for Boston College, ran all over us, right? And it was a disaster, right? So then, like a couple games later, we played Kent State. Now, you know who was on Kent State, that team? You know who was on that team? James Harrison.
Yes. He played linebacker for
The
Indianapolis
Steelers.
Colts.
The Steelers. James Harrison played for the Steelers.
He played for the Steelers?
Yep.
Oh, you're right.
That dude used to eat metal. He used to eat weights, that guy.
Yeah.
Right? So he was on that team. I hurt my neck because I hurt my neck in practice that week. I was just having a rough year, right? We were supposed to go play Notre Dame. I couldn't go. So I had to stay home and watch Notre Dame. I had to watch that on TV. And then like that week, that Notre Dame week was so depressing. I was so upset, right? I was so in the dumps that I'd go home by myself. I lived by myself at the time, and I'd watch Def Comedy Jam tapes.
Okay.
Well, why were you so in the dumps? Why?
Because I couldn't go to the...
Because of the game, the helmet
Yeah.
injury. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't go to
He
the
can
game.
play. He can
So-
play. So
I watched Def Comedy Jam tapes, and
Right.
and seeing the comedians on stage, and everyone laughing. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, like that feels good, man. Like that looks like something I
Something you
want to
wanna do.
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
So that's what made me feel better, right? And then comedians would come in to West Virginia, and they perform like in the in the student area, and I go talk to them.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So I remember Kostaki Akamalapakis. You know him?
No.
Yeah, he's like the John Smith. That just means like John Smith in Greek.
Kostaki.
I don't know. I never heard of it.
No.
Who this
He
is?
was married to he was married to that blonde comedian.
It's probably like John Smith in Greek.
Married,
Right?
he was married to a blonde comedian. I can't remember her name right now. She's famous, but
Wait. The one who did the roast?
No, she's older. You got Google right here. You can look her up. Oh, look him up.
Yeah, he's going to be able to spell that.
Kostaki.
Let me just spell it. The end of it for you.
K-L-S.
Kostaki.
Kostaki.
K-I.
Yeah, there it is. See what there is.
Okay.
See American comedian? Yeah, that dude. Right
Okay.
there. Up. Right there. Yep, that's him.
Oh, okay.
So I met him.
Economopoulos.
Yep.
Okay.
He was married to Catholic. You see that? Go back.
Christy Miola, his wife.
No. That's his second wife. Go
Okay.
back. The first Carolyn Rhea. Carolyn Rhea was his first wife. Remember Carolyn Rhea?
No, I don't even know who she is.
Okay.
I don't even know this guy.
Look up Carolyn Rhea. There you go.
Rhea?
R-H-E-A.
R-A. No.
Yeah, there she is. That's her.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, wow.
Oh, I remember
Yep.
her.
Yeah. He was married to her. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So I talked to him after he went up, and I was like, "Yo, man, I'm thinking about doing comedy. What should I do?" He said, "Well, what I do." He said, "I write down my joke, and then I underline what's funny, right?"
Yeah.
So that was one of the tips he gave me.
All right.
Then, I was like studying all
Right.
this time,
Okay.
like all this time during football season. I was
Okay.
like, "Shit, I'm not having that terrible season. I'm gonna go back home to New York. And I'm gonna do comedy, right?"
He's like, forget
So-
the NFL.
So I'm not going to the NFL. So
I'm
all my
going to
dreams
CFL.
is all shit, right? So everything's going to hell. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do comedy, right? So then I come back home. As soon as I get back, the minute I get back home, I drove back to New York, and I went straight to the comedy club. I went straight to the West Village. I went straight to the Boston Comedy Club, and I studied every single day.
So you
every
saw
night.
you saw some of Patrice O'Neal today perform.
I seen everybody, man.
Well, you okay? Go ahead.
So around like towards the end of the week, that week, I was there for like a week, and then by the end of the week, I went to Caroline's, and Talent was performing. Talent was headlining.
Yeah.
Bill Burr was the middle act, and
What year was this,
this
roughly?
is 2001.
2001. Okay.
So Coco Brown was the host, right? And at the time, I had this big hair, right? So after the show, I go to Coco Brown. I said, "I'm thinking about doing comedy. I don't know where to start." She's like, "Start with the way you look. You look like Maxwell." So she starts doing that shit, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, you're pretty and stuff. So she's like, talk about that. I was like, okay. So then I went home and like I grabbed a remote control and I was sitting in the mirror and I was just like coming up with stuff, right? And I was trying to think of the funniest stories I could think of.
Right.
So I started writing stuff down, So I built a comedy club in my basement, in my parents' basement, right? So I made a little stage, put some lights up, got a microphone, mic stand, chairs, and I put my camera up just like that, and I was just working. I just
go through it by yourself.
I just practiced my act, right?
Wow.
Then I called some of my friends over,
Right.
and they came over, and I did my act for them too. Then I took my camera to my cousin's house, and I showed him, right? So this is important because these cousins, one of them played the NFL, right? The other one, he passed now, but I showed him. I showed him the video, and he was like, "Yo, if you're gonna be a comedian, you gotta be mad observant, right?" I was like, "Okay, bet." So all these little tips along the way, I would keep, and so then I put together that act. I recorded it, blah blah blah, and I performed at Comedy Cellar, right, at Bringer Show, right. So I brought
Back when they had bringer shows,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I did like back-to-back Bringer shows, like a Thursday night, Friday night, right? Thursday night was good. Friday night, murder, right? Killed it. I couldn't believe it. Like it was like easy.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, everyone's like, oh, comedy's so hard. I was like, this really hard? This is not harder than blocking a 300-pound lineman. This is easy compared to playing against Miami, right? This is nothing. So I did those 2 shows. Oh, and after that show, I was like, man, I'm pretty good at this. So Dan Natterman was on stage at the real show. And I go to SD, I'm like, hey, I'm better than him.
Damn.
On stage. She's like, get the hell out of here.
Oh, wow.
So I did those 2 shows.
That's that football confidence.
Then I did
Yeah, you
another,
got the football
I did
confidence,
another
yeah.
Bringer show at New York Comedy Club. Then I did 2 more Bringer shows at the Cellar before I went back to college. So I did 5 shows when I was home during that break.
How long have you been doing comedy at that time so far? Like a month or
I
couple
just
months?
started.
Just
A couple months?
No months. No.
Like a week or two?
I was home 3 weeks. I was home between when the football season ended and the second semester started at West Virginia.
Yeah.
I was home I told you the first week I studied. I was in the club every night. I put together my act. I performed 5 shows. Went back to college.
And you did good in the beginning. In your
Yeah,
first
that
act.
second show was murder. Right? They were laughing at every point that was funny. Right? And it was really funny. If you watch it now, it's still funny. So
Would you tell stories or you had pre-written
no,
jokes?
so I did my Maxwell thing. I did how I looked like Maxwell, and then I told the story about how how this girl farted on me. Right? I told that story. I made fun of some bums. I did New York stuff.
Yeah.
Riding the train with some bums, and yeah, that was it. And smoking weed with some gay dudes. That was the other thing. So that was like my act. So I went back to college with my tape, with my 5 shows, and I showed all my friends. And then I started performing like I was opening for bands, and I was doing house parties. And these are all my friends. These are all my peers, and I'm like doing a house party in front of everybody. And I'm like, I was just doing jokes. And then I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do comedy.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay.
And then I finished school. Oh, no. I didn't graduate with like a degree, right? I have a degree. I had enough credits to graduate.
Yeah.
So when it was time for me to go, I took 2 acting classes, and I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going back to New York, going to do comedy, right? So then as soon as I get back, again, I'm hitting it. I'm like auditioning. I was like, I'm doing this. Then I meet my son's mom.
Oh. Okay.
A month out of school, I meet this woman. She gets pregnant immediately.
Oh, jeez.
Then there goes the comedy. Kind of tailed off.
Kind of tailed off.
Kind of tailed off for a minute.
Hot start.
I started personal training, and then I got an opportunity to go play indoor football professionally. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, $200 a game. Right, and it was in the NIFL, right? The National Indoor Football League.
Okay.
Or not in football league. Right? So I played indoor football, and then I came home again, right? I was like, all right, get back in my comedy, right? Same thing. Then I got another opportunity to go play in the Canadian Football League.
CFL?
Right? Yep, CFL. So then I go up there for like a week, and then they threw me the ball, all went right through my hands. I was like, all right, this is it. Right? So after that, I come back from the CFL. This is like 2 years later. After I come back from the CFL, that's when I got on the open mics and have been hitting it ever since. Jeez.
What year was this?
This is 05.
So you took a couple of years off.
So yeah, I was still, but during those times, I'd still go to the cellar.
A little bit active.
I'd see Chappelle.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you this Chappelle story. 2004, I'm sitting in the back of Boston Comedy Club, right? There's a snowstorm outside.
Right.
There's 4 people in the club. Me, a couple, Mike Vecchione.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
That's hilarious. That's like, was he a new comic, Vecchione? Sounds like he was.
He was like hosting, yeah.
Yeah, he was new.
He was pretty new. I'd seen
20
him
years ago.
I'd seen him a couple.
Doing it that.
I'd seen him a couple years before that. He was very new back then. So I was like, I'm just gonna go study, right? So I'm sitting there. I look over, Dave Chappelle standing at the door. Now remember, he's the reason why I started doing comedy, because that one thing, right? I'm like, this is at the height of Chappelle's show. Right? Chappelle's show was exploding, right? I look over, he's standing at the door. He comes down, he sits next to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, there's no way. There's no way he's getting on stage. There's nobody here.
Yeah.
He did.
Coming up next to the stage, Dave Chappelle. He's up there.
In front of 4 people.
In front of 4 people. Murdering for like 2 hours, right? He was killing for 2 hours. I was like, this is like a treat for me, right? This is amazing. I could not believe it, right? I was like, I wish I could tell someone that this is happening, right?
Yeah.
So he's up there just killing. And one thing he said, he was like, he said, I feel like I'm just starting out, right? So he's like, so I'm watching him for the 4 people. And when I saw him do that at the height of his career, I said, I will never complain about 4 people in the audience. Right?
Yeah.
If he's doing it, I have no reason.
Yeah, because if if it works, sometimes it works. Sometimes 4 people got the energy of 100. If
I
you
could
make
not
them laugh.
believe it.
But the mere fact that he's a super, again, Chappelle's show was ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
that was
He's
the
known
thing.
for like these long, like so we talked about in the past podcast. I went to see comedy with some friends, and remember when he came back from Africa after he kind of had his his problem, and he came back and he resolved it. We saw him like the week he came back. By accident, he popped in at the Comedy Cellar.
Yep.
And it was the last. He didn't bump anybody. It was like 11:30. He was going to be the last comic, so he goes up, and he stayed up till we left at 3 in the morning, 2:30, and then our friends stayed till 5. He stayed 5.5 hours on stage, close to 6 hours of riffing. And it was all funny the first 2, but after 2.5 hours, I just wanted to go home. I was too tired. You get tired of laughing. You like want to go home.
Jeez.
You know?
Yeah, man. So
It was
then
like
after
a
that,
really good open mic, like just killing for.
Guys.
yeah. After he performed for the 4 people, he walked around the corner to the cellar, and Chris Rock was there. And I was watching them talk to each other in like at the tables, and so fast forward, I'm doing a show in North Carolina 2 years ago. A couple comes up to me after the show.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we're from New York. Hey, we saw Dave Chappelle one time. We were the only ones in the club. I was like, you guys were at that show? I was at that show.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. So
2 hours. Jesus.
So tell us, you know Godfrey personally, and you know Artie Fuqua, right?
Yeah, so I met Artie. Artie was the first comedian I ever met, right? And this is back. Again, I used to walk around with a video camera, like a real camera. I used to walk around doing selfies. We do sketches. We used to do it.
The big
Not that big.
VHS.
Not that one. Like a mini.
The hand, like
Not
the
the
Big
big
got to the mini size.
Like
the
mini, the mini
homemade,
tapes.
yeah.
But I could hold it in one hand.
Okay.
I have it on tape because he comes in. We were at the East Village. We were in the East Village. He comes in. He's bouncing around. You know, Artie is bouncing around. He said, "Oh, yeah, I'm at the cellar." I was like, "Okay." I wasn't even thinking about comedy. It's '98, right? I was at that time. I'm going to the league, right?
Yeah. Okay, he's like running back.
A few years later, I'm not going to the league. I go to the cellar. I'm like, Artie, I ain't met you before. So I met him. He was friends with Godfrey.
Right.
And I just kept going. I was going all the time. I'd go watch all the time. So I just got to know those guys.
Yeah.
And then they'd make fun of me all the time. They'd make fun of me all the time. And it was bad. It was bad. They'd roast my shoes. Rich Voss, all those guys, they'd fucking roast my shoes. I had these brown boots on one time with some shorts. They said I looked like I was wearing potatoes. They were just murdering me. They were just, it was so funny.
So these guys know that you're doing comedy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What advice? Any gems they drop? Anything?
One time Godfrey saw me writing. He's like, "Yeah, there you go, pen and pad." Let's see. I've driven Godfrey home from gigs. Drove him home from Bananas Comedy Club one time, and the main thing he hasn't really give me advice, but I just watch him and I watch what he does, and I know he's smart. He knows so much stuff.
Yeah, he really does.
So, and he's just focused on being a good comedian, right? So like, it's almost like, when the master doesn't necessarily tell you what to do, you know, but you just kind of learn by watching.
Yeah,
You
he's
know?
got a really unique physical style too.
Yeah. So he's so I've seen him on shows where Chris Rock's on. He's like, all right. Chris Rock's like, all right, give it for the next comedian, Dave Chappelle, and then Dave Chappelle goes up, and then Dave Attell goes up, and then Godfrey closed it, and Godfrey murdered it. He was better than everybody, and I was like, this guy's the best comedian I've ever seen. For real.
Yeah.
I like, you know, there's some guys I like Godfrey's the best. I like Russell Peters. I like Steve Byrne. Those guys are like my favorites.
Yeah.
But Godfrey's
He's on
hands
another
down.
level.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, talent-wise, the guy is just ridiculous. I think in his league, talent-wise, is Jamie Foxx because of all the stuff that he can do. But Godfrey is so underrated.
Jamie Foxx's impressions were like kind of hacky. Did you see his latest special? You see, like,
I saw a little bit of it.
I saw it.
So I guess it's too hard to watch.
Yeah.
Oh my
You gotta
god!
push
I
yourself through
mean,
that.
he's not a stand-up comic. He's doing a special version.
Right.
But he's not a stand-up.
He's a stand-up comic.
He's
He is.
stand-up.
So back in 01.
Not anymore.
Oh, back
but
in,
that's like saying if you quit comedy, go back to it 20 years later. Are you a stand-up?
well,
you've been
I used to watch him on Def
he's a
Comedy
star.
Jam. I used to watch him. His special, I Might Need Security, classic.
Yeah, right.
I used to study that when I was in college.
But I mean,
All his impressions were like kind of hacky. Like I've seen other comedians do the same type of impression. Godfrey's impressions are different.
Yeah.
He'll imitate a lot of the same people.
Right.
But the way he accents it is a little bit different.
yeah.
No.
I mean,
So,
you know
listen,
me, I love accents. I'm
he
not an
was-
impressionist guy, but
I was sitting next to him at the cellar, and he started doing Coach Prime.
yeah,
It was spot on.
I heard it. Yeah.
I had to get up and leave because I was dying.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
He got to work on a Jamaican accent though. But
That's you. That's all you.
But tell him I said that. Much love, but tell him he got to work on a Jamaican accent. He probably cussed me up like, oh. But no, he's cool. No, he's super uber talented. Uber talented, man. Jeez. So
So I asked him when he sleeps. He won't tell me. He won't tell me when he sleeps.
He's always. You could find Godfrey online like at 3:00 in the morning doing
Yes,
a live.
I
He
woke
doesn't
up.
sleep.
Sleep. One of these people doesn't sleep.
I woke up at 4 a.m. the other day, and he was on live.
He's online. Yeah, he. I mean, there's levels to this stuff, bro.
So I was like, when do you sleep? He won't tell me.
He's like diehard, like Attell's like that. They don't do TV. They don't do other stuff. They just do comedy. all
I mean,
the time.
he was in Soul Plane.
Game on.
Yeah, he was in.
Who's Game On?
But you know what I mean? Like what his talent
Yeah.
level, like he should have been on
Yeah,
SNL.
that's
he should
what-
have had his own show.
That's what
Somebody
most
should have wrote him a
people.
show.
That's what most people think, and
Yeah.
you know, because of how Uber
But
I
some-
listen.
but-
I listen to a lot of podcasts, right? And people talk about comedians, and very rarely do people mention him. I'm like, what is wrong with you? It's always the same group of people that people mention, like as though they're trained or something. And that's for me. I like who I like. I like Godfrey. I like Ron White. You know Ron White, Tater. What was that joke with Tater? I like Ron White. And there's so many different. I can't even name them all right now. I like Corey Holcomb. You know, I like Bill Burr, of course. And there's just so many. So many comics out there. You know what I mean? I don't really
I
have
think
like
it's too many for me to even name right
yeah.
now. This is
So
comics
when people say, "Oh, your top 5, top 10," I say, "Oh no."
Like
I
we
said,
talked about this on a prior podcast. Like how saturated do you think it is right now? Because I've never seen anything like how many
the
comedy
thing is-
specials
is-
there are.
Right.
and-
But that you got to separate yourself somehow. You got to find your own angle and your own voice and your own way of coming out. That's what I'm doing. And I can't.
So you
wait.
think there's a lot of hold on. To that being said, you're saying there's a lot of people doing the same thing, doing kind of copying a lot of styles, or kind of doing a general.
Yeah, a lot of people. It seems like that.
Because me and Dave were talking about that the other day. Every time you meet like people from certain areas, you can almost tell, oh, that's like a Brooklyn comic. That style, like it's repeated.
So
I'm not saying it's not original.
That's what also happens is that it becomes homogenized. Because
Right.
people are around certain
Right,
people,
right,
and they're around that
Very
certain-
true. That's a
that certain-
very key point.
Certain, people try to fit in, and sometimes it's subconscious. They don't even know that they're
Very true,
sounding like
very
everyone
true.
else.
They're going to their own cliquey
Yeah,
comedy
right,
shows and
right.
staying there.
And I tell you what, because I mean, for me personally, sometimes I go, "Is it too late to do comedy?" Again, listen, I'm telling you what it is. I'm telling you what's going on in here. I go, man, I should have been doing this 20 years ago. Become more consistent.
Sure.
Why I can't? Then you said something to me. You introduced me to, I forgot who it was at the time. It was a young lady, and you went, "This dude is funny." I was like, "Oh shit." Cooper you being nice. So he's like, damn, Cooper thinks I'm funny. I might have something. Mm-hmm. And that stayed. And next week I kept coming back. But it's confidence is what I'm saying. Because sometimes you're like, yeah, this is funny. But is it funny? You know what I mean?
You know, I remember being in my 20s.
Right.
And thinking, I can't wait till I'm in my 30s.
Right.
Because my comedy's going to be so much better.
Right.
Because my 20s I didn't have much.
Right.
You know? And then when I got to my 30s, I wasn't even concerned about career-wise.
Right.
I see Mark Norman go get famous. I see Amy Schumer go get famous. Michael Shea go get famous. Yeah. Pete Davidson used to come on my mic, right? And now he's famous.
Yeah.
And I was never tripping on that. I was like, when I want to, when I'm ready, I'll know what to do. I'll get there. Right now, I just want to be mad funny. That's all I'm worried about. Yeah. Right? So I think Rodney Dangerfield didn't make it till he was like in his 40s anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Dangerfield didn't start till he was
something like that. Oh, he started, then he stopped.
I think he started in his 40s.
Who was this?
Rodney Dangerfield.
Dangerfield started in his 40s.
He started
40s.
like in his 20s, then he stopped for like a decade or so. But he was writing. He was still writing jokes. He said, I read his autobiography. He had a duffel bag full of jokes, and then like in his 40s, he got back into it. Right? So like, I think the older you are, the better it is for a comedian.
I think that too, because
you have more experience.
I don't want to be like anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Most of the shows that I do, it's me doing what I do. You know what I mean? I mean, anywhere.
Oh, I watched your special.
It wasn't a special.
It was on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But that was good.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was. He was on the show too. The link we did.
Oh, you put the whole thing on YouTube?
Yeah, but private.
Oh, that's right.
But I only sent it out to link because I said I want feedback. I want to hear what people are saying.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And I was like, when he said the shit was funny, I was like, shit, man. Well, I mean, what else do you need? Just keep going.
That's it. Exactly.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So we've gotten, and Alex, he's done a lot. He's pulled me in. You know, he's pulled me in on a lot of different spots, and we've been able to turn and parlay it into shows. That's why we're going to Boston. You know, and a week before that, we're in Ridgefield.
Ridgefield on the 13th.
Yeah.
February 13th.
Yeah.
And then
Knob Hill.
Boston.
And then Boston, man.
The 20th, Thursday.
Yeah, and we plan to like the cat out of the bag, but we plan to do a Velvet Sugar tour sometime coming up. This is what it is.
Yeah, why not?
That's what it is. We do it. You know, this is so. I mean, the whole, because everybody, there's no. What's the best way to say it? There's no like, okay, you do this, then you do this, then
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's no,
So everybody's journey is so different.
That's right.
Because I wanted to start in the 90s. Then I finally got on the stage in 2004. Tuesday Night Trainwreck with Damian San Marco, Joey Gay used to host, right? And I remember a bunch of people passing through, Michelle Bateau, Jordan Carlin, a bunch of people, right? And there was some touring comment. I had went up and I'd done a bit about my Indian boss and whatnot. And lady had got on the stage and she was like, oh, I like this, good. And she's like, the guy with the accents, I like him. I was like, oh shit. Well, I mean, shit, might as well, you know? But I got married next year and immediately pregnant. My wife got pregnant, so I was mostly, you know. And
But
then
isn't it funny how you're talking about you guys started when there was a bringer and probably open mics in a lot of these clubs in the city that they got rid of that. Now it's like now you can't get on stage at the Comedy Cellar now unless you have a recommendation. They don't do bringers anymore. It's more like
because
it's changed.
Because you know, I like I said, I remember when I first started. I used to go to not when I first started, like a couple of years in. I used to go to Comic Strip Live to do an open mic.
You think the club scene is bigger now than was back then in the city?
There's so many clubs now.
No.
I mean, Comedy Cellar still kind of leads it as the A club.
But it's not just the. It's a Comedy Cellar, but it has like 4 separate clubs. You got the Fat Black Pussycat. You got what
Village
else?
Underground.
The Village Underground.
It's 3, right?
Like 3, right?
They have 4.
Four?
They have 3 rooms on that side, and then they have the one main room.
Right.
And so
that's
it's
four.
all yeah. They used to be all like.
And then they're getting more. They're buying up more space.
And I heard it's all tourists. I heard it's all tourists.
Well, that's what it is.
But
it
listen,
is all tourists. That's right.
Tourists
now,
laugh.
But that's the thing. I did comedy in Spain. I was in Spain last month, and I did a mic out there, and it was all tourists.
Expat, like an expat club.
It was English. I mean, I spoke. Everyone spoke English. All the comedians spoke English, and it was the same type of thing. So when I realized I'm in Spain, it's the same thing as New York. It's still tourists. It's the same thing all over the world.
Yeah.
That like stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Right. Because the stand-up comedy is an American art form.
Right.
It's spread throughout the world.
Yep.
That's why Trevor Noah can see it and just like take off in South Africa. Because before he came to America, he was doing Africa and Europe, right? With his act, and then came over because I discovered him on the internet doing sketches. I was like, I thought this dude is brilliant because he it was real minimalist, but it was where he was. I was like, this is pretty good. Next thing you know, he's hosting the Daily Show after Jon Stewart. Stewart. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If as long as you speak English, this is like a comedy you can do kind of anywhere.
Yeah. So
It's just, I think it's about what your art means to you.
Right.
You know, my brother's an artist, right? He's the reason why I went to Spain. He's a real artist, right? Like real deal.
Yeah.
Music, visual art, skateboarding. He does that stuff for real, and he like art is his number one thing, right? He will sacrifice everything. He was living on the streets in Spain for months, sleeping on the street with the skateboarders, living that lifestyle just for the art, right? That's die-hard artist, right? So like,
you got kids?
yeah, he does. He's got one that's here, but his art is more important to him. So like, and look at any artist over any part of time, like that's their most important thing, and they treat it as such, right? And it shows. Michael Jordan, basketball was his art, right? So he was able to like be better than everyone else because that's all he wanted to do, right? I had a dream last night. I was passing the cellar. I had a dream. I was on stage, and then Derek Gaines came up on stage, and his chest was hairy. And I made a joke about his hairy chest. And then Jared Freed came up on stage, and then who was Mad Dog Mattern came on stage, and I was like, I felt like I was back at home during this dream last night. But like it's just you're gonna get out of it whatever you put into it, and that's the beauty of stand up, and that's what I was thinking about when I was an athlete. I was like, I can do this forever. I can be old and still be funny.
So don't you think like I came, you were a different athlete than I was. I was like, you were D1, these visions of pro. But I think if you're an athlete, no matter D1, D2, D3, and you stick with it, you had like this mentality, like a work ethic.
It's a discipline.
Right.
It's a discipline.
It's different. Like, when I first got into the workforce after being an athlete, being on like a team, you're like, this is easy.
Right.
It teaches you how to be a team. Yeah, but a lot of people don't even have that basic level of. They don't have that.
It's a discipline that translates.
It takes a lot to get to a college level.
Yeah,
it takes. You have to separate yourself at a young age. You have to decide at a young age that that's the path you want to go, and then nothing's going to stop you from that path. That's at least how I was. I had to step away from the crowd, step away from the teammates, and say like, I'm going this way. If you guys want to come with, I'll lead the way, but I'm not fucking with y'all like that.
Right.
And what I mean by that is like, there's a group mentality, right? There's crabs in a barrel, right? They all want to. They don't want to work that hard. They don't want to work as hard as I do, right? And that's the reason why my records still stand for 30-something years, because I worked harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
So I just take that work ethic over to the comedy, and it's the same thing.
You were the one that said, record yourself.
That's right.
Every set. He's
That's right.
He's like, if I can't record, I won't perform.
That's right.
So, and that's why he told you. This is what
I was just telling them I forgot to record a set. The one time you forget to record it.
But I never
even
do that.
even if I don't do video, I do audio.
Right.
There's some record, because guess what? I sent a link to a lady today, and then I watched the clip that I haven't watched yet, but I put it up like on a private link on YouTube. I was like, whoa, I could do more with this joke. I could add this joke with this new joke. I was like, oh, that's good. So it's good to have a record.
Right. Well, that goes back to studying film as an athlete. Right?
Yeah.
I started playing football in 7th grade. I didn't know shit about football. Nothing. Right? They were like, you run like Barry Sanders. I was like, who? Right? Then I started watching Barry. And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna take that move.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna take that move. How'd you do that? Oh, okay, he's a little joke. Okay, I'm gonna take that move. Right? And I would just learn. I just studied, right? So same thing with comedy. I was like, oh, okay, let me see. When I first got on stage, I didn't want to look like an amateur.
Right.
I wanted to look like I knew what I was doing. I wanted to look like a pro the first time I got on stage. That's why I practiced.
Right.
That's why I built the stage, right? That's why I recorded myself. I always use that camera.
You watched a lot of comedians?
Ever since my dad brought that camera to the house, I've been using the camera. Now you have it right here. You state-of-the-art camera right here all the time.
Yeah.
You'll never have to say, I wish I had my camera.
You're right.
Right? So it's just about studying film, man. I'm a big proponent of study. Study.
So
like
which
tonight,
comedians were your favorite, like top 5 that you studied, that you watched when you first started?
Oh, I was watching Chappelle. I memorized that "Killing Me Softly" verbatim. I know that inside and out. I was watching Def Comedy Jam. I'd watch like you know what I would do? I'd edit. Okay, so I'd make highlight films for my football. So I did the same thing with comedy, right?
Yeah.
So I take my favorite comedians off Def Comedy Jam and edit together, put them all on one tape, right? Like Chris Tucker, D.L. Hughley.
Burning.
It's also a good place to see what not to do.
Martin Lawrence, right?
Oh,
so I'd watch, and I watched that over and over and over again, right? That was back when I started, right? But then that was before I even went to comedy clubs. That was before I even, that was when I was in college, man. I was studying those guys. And then when I got home and I got back to New York, I'd go to the clubs, watch. Like tonight, would go to the cellar and study the masters. Right.
Who's on tonight? Who's on tonight?
Attell is on tonight.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I said, he does that duo act.
Yeah.
I want to really make sure I get as much absorbed. I like to think I absorb something when I'm there.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I absorb the rhythm. Something. I get something when I'm there. You know.
No, that's good. That's good. And it helps you, you know, because sometimes I see something. I say, okay, I see what he did there. In my experience, you know, if I do like a transition from here, I can move something here and put something in the middle and still go back to it because there's techniques that you can use.
Yeah. I love this. Yeah. I love this talk. I love comedy talk.
Yeah,
because it's a puzzle. It's pieces,
it is.
and
it's
always
sometimes
this thing.
you can,
and it's always a work of art. It's always a work in progress.
Like
Always.
I do a dad bit, but you know how much dad bits I have now that I
Right.
can just pile up
Right,
here.
right.
I got my parents.
Right.
I got bit about this. I was like, oh wow,
But you wouldn't have that at 20.
no,
You wouldn't have that in the 90s.
no.
It'd be some silly shit.
Right.
But now you have life experience that you can use.
Right.
And each year you're doing it, you're gonna know how
Yeah.
to do different kind of styles and make it even
Yeah,
funnier.
yeah.
You know,
You can do
don't you know? I know techniques now. I didn't know last year. Just
Right.
pick up little subtle things
Yeah.
every year.
I didn't even know
One
what
or
a
two
tag.
little tricks
I didn't even know what taglines were. I was like, tag, what the hell is that?
Right.
Yeah.
But now you know what it is. It's like, okay, because I do stories type, right? So, but you can tag all the way along the lines till you get to your punchline, your payoff, because your punchline may not be boom, but it might be a punchline / payoff for the whole bit, and you tagging it ha to the big laugh. And like Colin said, if sometimes the big payoff may not be a big laugh, but you're laughing so much along the way, then it's okay, that's funny, and then you get into something else, transition into smooth, into, you know what I mean? I think it's good when I have a bit about Luigi Mangione. And I did it at a Jackie B's last month, and the comedian was on the show, said I never heard that take on that, and I was like, okay, that's cool, that's good, you know. Because
when you doing topical stuff like that, you got to have your own take right away.
but what do you?
There's gonna be a million takes.
But now when you first started out, you know, it was a formula. Comics wanted to get to the sitcom, right? Just for Laughs was a big launching pad for that if you got in. But now there's no more. There's no more.
No, if you're really good in comedy now, you can get a job as a game show host.
Sure.
that's your career path now.
Well, that's what's his name?
Steve Harvey.
Brady, right? I think.
Wayne
Brady.
but he's an actor though.
Yeah, he's an actor. He's an improviser.
He's
He's not stand up, but like Drew Carey.
Right, Drew Carey.
But
I meant
Howie Mandel's is the judge on America's Got Talent or whatever.
But I meant in terms of like now with social media, that can put you in a position, you know what I mean, to do some things that more so than maybe at a Tonight Show. You could go. Let's say you get to go on Jimmy Fallon, but you might do better going viral on your own than going on the Tonight Show. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't. Obviously, I'm not saying don't go on the Tonight Show. That's not.
I look at it like this. Right now, we're living in the 20s.
Right.
So imagine 1920. Now imagine 100 years ago. Like, there was no stand-up comedy 100 years ago. Now, if I was to get, you know how hard it would be for me to get 200 people to watch my 15-second video 100 years ago? You know what I'm saying? So I need a band just to play music.
We're like kind of our own producers.
Yes.
But
so now is the time. We have to utilize the time that we're in right now. Because as we move forward, it's going to change. As technology changes, comedy's going to change. AI is going to have something to do with comedy in the future. Yeah. For sure. We're in the early stages of AI. We're still in the beginning stages of the internet. Like this thing doesn't even work. I can't make a service in here. Right? So this is still in the beginning stages of this, right? So it's just, a good, you know what? This kid said to me the other day after a show in Poughkeepsie, he said, a good comedian can describe everything to a T. So it's just about mastering the art form. And I don't think you ever can master the art form. Right. You just keep getting better.
Yeah, because it's always room for improvement.
Yes. And being observant and giving your take, your perspective on the world.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. That's what it is.
You're right. I'm where you from, because especially like now, like, a lot more, there's a lot, being a Caribbean guy, you know what I mean? it wasn't necessary. We weren't necessarily at the forefront of anything. We'd kind of be like the side with jerk chicken or whatever it is. But no, you really have a story here as a first generation American, as your culture, as part of the world, part of this part of society. You know what I mean? So that's that's where I come from. You know, I grew up in the Caribbean, born here, but grew up in the Caribbean, and now it's like this. I'm living here, 30-something years now with a family. Oh, how do I look at politics, healthcare, family, relationships, dogs, all that kind of stuff? And it's like, yeah.
The dog bit. The dog bit.
Listen, I was just in Trinidad for my wife's grandmother's funeral. Rest in peace, mommy. And I was sitting there with her cousins, and we were talking about dogs, and I was like, that's something I'm gonna add to my pit,
Right?
Because it's real life, it's real life. I'm like, wow, I can extend this bit, put this in there, because I was even telling my boy about it. He was like, you gotta do it in the accent. I was like, yeah.
So how would you describe your comedy? Like observational?
It's observational for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's educational a little bit. It's physical, improvisational, and I really just focus on trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I went to court yesterday for a DUI.
Okay.
Right? I got DUI. Yesterday was my court date. Right? So I go to court, and in court, I see the cops. I was like, damn, I wish I was a cop. Right? I want to be everything but who I am. I'm like, I wish I was a cop. They're not in trouble. Right? I see the lawyers. I'm like, oh, they're not in trouble. Right? I want to be a lawyer. I see the judge. I'm like, damn, I want to be a judge. Right? And then I leave. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to go make fun of all these fucking fools. I'm going to make fun of everybody. I can't wait to get on stage and just murk these dudes.
Yeah. Wow. Man, we got 5 minutes. This was a great conversation. You also got a podcast.
Yes, sir.
All right.
My podcast is called the Bit by Bit Podcast.
With?
It's with Rashad Bashir.
Shout out Rashad Bashir.
One of the Rashad Bashir. I've known Rashad for over a decade now. I did an hour special back in 2011, something like that. He opened for me back then. He was only 1 or 2 years in.
You taped the special?
Of course.
When?
Of course.
When?
2011?
2011?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I told you when I met him because Rhodes was like,
Well, tell the audience what the special's called.
Oh no, it's not anywhere. I don't know.
It's
Where
not-
that, I don't know
okay.
where that footage is now.
Oh, okay.
What?
You didn't post.
But I did.
You don't want to go back
was
and put it
filmed.
on?
I don't know. I don't know
on
where
YouTube.
I don't know where that is.
he got so much. That's why he said it means so much to me. He said, I'm funny because when I first started doing the mics and he was there, he could have done an hour back then. I was like, how you do an hour worth of jokes?
How long did you work till you got your first special? Till you taped
Your
it?
first hour.
Oh, it was about 10 years.
10
I
years.
started in 02.
That's about when a lot of people film their first special. From
Started
7
in
to 10 years,
yeah.
like
And then
that.
by 11, I did that first one. But anyway, so me and Rashad have been doing this podcast for about almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Rashad, when I first met him, there's certain people you can identify right
Yeah.
away that they're real comedians.
Yeah.
Right? And the real comedian is someone that's their thing. Like he studies, he reads, he's always on it. He's an upcoming star.
Good student. Huh?
He's an upcoming star.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal comedian.
Yeah.
And
Shout out
so
to
we
Rashad,
do the
yeah.
Bit by Bit podcast, which is about how comedians develop material.
Yeah.
Right? Which is what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right, yeah.
because I'm fascinated by everyone's process. Everyone
Yeah.
has their own process.
Yeah.
People
Right,
write stuff
right.
down and like.
So what's
I just love
your process, real quick? We stopped
So
the time.
real quick, my process. So now
Thank you.
my process is I need to. I was at Chris Rock's house, and I've asked him. I said, "How often do you write?" He says, 2 hours a day. I was like, 2 hours a day? He's like, "Yep," and he left. Right. So now I try to discipline myself to like go to the library. I gotta get out of my house. I gotta go to the library
Sit there.
and sit.
See, that's good.
freaking
discipline.
right.
That's good because that makes you your place.
Yeah.
For,
But because of your athletic background and discipline, it's easier for you to do for you guys.
But I
to
love
do
it. I love it. I love comedy. I love like working on it.
For me, I could get inspired by something and to just take my book out and book.
Yeah, so I do that all the time. I take notes all the time too.
yeah.
But then there's the developmental
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
But also, like I was in the library the other day, and I started reading this article on John Mulaney in GQ, and I'm like, oh, I want to get there, right? But then I'm looking, I'm like, here's the article, here's my notes. All I gotta do is just keep working, and I'll be there.
Right.
yeah.
That's the beauty of it. All you gotta do is write.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Right. Before we go, we got 2 minutes to go. Give them your handle for your podcast and yourself.
So my Instagram is Cooper Rego 23. That's my comedy page.
Right.
I also have a football page, which is Running Back Training Camp, which is my football training business.
Okay.
I train running backs. In the last 30 years, there's been 4 running backs to go to Notre Dame. Me, and I've coached the other 3.
Wow.
Right?
They got hands?
Oh, yeah. You have to learn from someone that doesn't have hands how to catch.
There you go.
So for sure, I make sure these guys have hands.
Okay.
So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
And podcast is Bit by Bit podcast. We don't have a handle for that yet.
Why not?
Because my producer, I have a lazy producer.
Oh no, he
Okay.
did not. He
My
said
producer is very lazy. Okay, Paula Datner.
Paula, I know. I know. I'm not agreeing.
She's constantly
Alex
dropping the ball.
Alex and stand up for you.
like this.
I'm standing up for you. She just really so she can shoot. So, I know. But yeah, okay, a minute. Like I said, we got some shows coming up next month for sure. The 13th we're in Ridgefield and the 20th we're in Boston. We'll put it up there. But
put it up there.
You can find me at Black Rock Dave on Instagram.
At Big Alex Comedy.
Instagram. So welcome back. Happy 2025. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas and all that stuff.
Cooper, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me. This was really
awesome.
fun. This was awesome.
This
was awesome.
So man, this is great, man. So hey guys, tell a friend to tell a friend. And yeah, stay tuned. Watch us grow. Peace.
Peace.